everyone, welcome back to our Accounting 210. In this video, we continue with Chapter 10, Performance Evaluation. Last time we finished our learning objective 1, which is generally you have to read textbook by yourself from page 584 to 586, 87. Today we talk about learning objective 2. You can see it's also just very short, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 lines actually. Learning objective 2 is related with learning objective 5. Is talking about the variance. So in today's video, I just give you a general brief idea. Maybe we will finish this video within 5 minutes, and then we leave the detailed discussion in learning objective 5. So now let's get started. Okay, I make this one a little bit larger because we don't really have a lot of things. Okay, develop the performance reports, right? So as I said, in the beginning of the overview, there are 3 methods, 3 ways actually to evaluate your employees' performance. Learning objective 2 and learning objective 5, they carry the first method, which is using the word called variance. So what's the meaning of variance? The general idea is you compare the performance with your budget. So the variance, okay, variance. What's the meaning of variance in English dictionary? I think it's kind of like differences, but we make it to have a fancy name. We call it a variance. So it is the difference of actual and your budget. Okay, so it's the difference of your actual and budget. As I mentioned, the example, think about yourself. You thought, so we just use yourself as the example. Your budget is, you thought you will get 80 points for the exam, but your actual, you got 85. So you are doing better than the budget. First thing is your variance will be 5, right? Your variance will be 5. And your actual is doing better than budget. So we call it 5 favorable. So our variance is 5 favorable. On the other side, if you plan your budget is you budget to get 80, but your actual is you only get 73. Let's just use this example. In this situation, your variance will be 7, and it's unfavorable. So make sure whenever you talk about variance, you have to tell me it's favorable or unfavorable. If your actual and our actual is always on the left side. Remember when we do our manufacturing overhead? So your left side is always the actual, right? So we always put actual on the left side. So we compare actual with our budget. So it's A and B. A goes ahead of B, actual budget, right? So if your actual is better than budget, you will have a favorable variance. If your actual is worse than budget, then you will have an unfavorable budget. So some students will say, hey, you have a favorable or unfavorable. So when we talk about good or bad, right? When we talk about favorable or unfavorable, it's related with what? For your personal experience, it's related with your point, right? But for your business, our focus is on the operating income. It's based on the income. Okay, so if your actual income is better than the budget, then it will be favorable. If actual is worse than the budget regarding for the income, then it's unfavorable. Why I say this? Because it's different for revenue and for cost. Okay, so let's think about this. If your revenue actual is better than budget, So the number, I'm just talking about the number here. Sorry about that. I should say is higher, okay? So higher or lower, higher, I don't use the word better or worse, higher or lower. 6 is higher than 5, 3 is lower than 4, okay? So now we talk about numbers. So if your actual number of revenue is more than the budget is higher, then this will be favorable, right? But if you talk about the cost, if your actual number is higher than the budget, regard of the cost, so you thought you will just spend $100, but you spend $120. Now you will say, hey, cost, your actual 120 is more than 100. So this will be favorable or unfavorable. Actually, this will be unfavorable. Why? Because more cost means you will have a lower income. When we talk about favorable or unfavorable, you cannot just memorize, hey, larger number means better. It's not correct. We talk about the income, okay? So we focus on the income. So larger revenue means favorable, but larger cost means unfavorable. I want you to understand the logic because we focus in the perspective of income. Higher revenue means better, but higher cost for the actual means worse, means unfavorable. Okay, so I will stop here. Students usually just I will say this is a common concern. Hey, how do I memorize? We talk about favorable, unfavorable from the perspective of the income. Higher revenue means favorable, but higher cost, the actual higher cost means unfavorable. We will do more numbers in learning objective 5, so understand the logic here is good enough. Next thing, talking about segment margin. I'm not going to really read a lot. You can read just from your textbook. Basically, it said instead of looking at the overall income, some department they will say, hey, it's not accurate if you allocate the common fixed cost to my department because I don't have a control for those costs, right? Like R&D, like the CEO salary. So they say, okay, then we just look at your income based on your segment margin before allocating the common fixed cost. So read textbook for this part just in case you will have multiple choice, but have good understanding with the variance and the favorable and the unfavorable variance. So first note, we always put the actual on the left side, we put the budget on the right side. When we talk about variance, you compare your actual with your budget, right? And then favorable, unfavorable is in terms of the operating income. You cannot just memorize a larger number is better. That's not correct for the cost part. Okay, I stop here. As I said, this video will be short. And the next video, we start doing some numbers. I hope you enjoy this part and I'll see you next time. Thank you.